So joining me tonight, can Prime Minister Manmohan Singh manage an image makeover at a time when he talks about animal spirits to revive the economy? Increasingly, it's also a time when he seems to be getting a spate of bad press. And joining me tonight on that, Manish Tiwari, Congress spokesperson, Lok Sabha MP, Piyush Goyal, Rajya Sabha MP from the BJP, National Treasurer of the party, also joined by Jay Panda, Lok Sabha MP of the Biju Janata Dal, Andrew Buncombe, South Asia correspondent of The Independent, and also Dr. Ila Patnaik of the Indian Express. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight. Let me start with Andrew Buncombe, because Andrew, we just showed that graphic of an article you wrote, an analysis piece on the Prime Minister, where the headlines went from Sonia's poodle, Sonia's puppet, to underachiever. Interesting, perhaps, at a time when we talk of a Prime Minister who seems to be reinventing himself, or perhaps going back to 20 years ago.
Sonia, I think it's great that you're focusing on the foreign media, but I think with respect you're giving us far too much credit, really. There have been a couple of articles in the foreign press in the last couple of weeks, but these are issues that the Indian media yourself has been covering for the last 18 months. This isn't anything new. People have been talking about the economy, they've been talking about the direction of the country, they've been talking about so-called policy paralysis. These are all issues that are out there and they get covered every day. I mean, you have business leaders talking about it, you have the opposition. Frankly, when the foreign media writes one or two articles, suddenly that's kind of big news. You know, perhaps you do us too much credit.
And interesting, in fact, because one of the people you quoted in your article, Manish Tiwari, is also on our debate tonight. And Manish Tiwari, come in here, because I think the Independent thought better of a headline calling the Prime Minister the question mark Sonia's poodle. He's now in single quotes using the Time magazine title of underachiever. But come in here on the point, do you think the media, perhaps the foreign media and the Indian media, are picking up on a different story or a wrong story now regarding the Prime Minister?
Allow me to begin by saying that I think it's important that the editorial license should not be abused, because if you recall about 10 years back, you know, there was a similar article in the Time about a former Prime Minister, which was also extremely derogatory. And at that point in time also, you know, the Indian political class or the Indian political establishment had in unison, you know, reacted and said that criticism is justified, criticism is valid, but I don't think you need to stretch the editorial license a little too far. The second point that I would like to make is, you know, this entire perception of policy paralysis is absolutely flawed. We understand that there is a certain anticipation, there's a certain expectation, you know, among the global investor community that there should be a second wave of reforms in India. And the Prime Minister has made it absolutely clear that we are working towards that, to see that, you know, that second wave of reforms comes. But I think one thing needs to be clearly underscored is that over the past 62 years, I think the world has realized that whenever India acts, you know, it acts in its own enlightened national interest. Yes, if there is a complementarity, for example, or if we think that FDI and multi-brand retail is good for us, and it does benefit, you know, the economy of some other country also, I guess those complementarities, you know, really need to be appreciated, you know, rather than, you know, getting hot under the collar or antsy and allowing people, you know, to completely go off the board.
Manish Tiwari, the reference there perhaps to President Obama and what some political parties already termed that why should the US be dictating what India should do, or suggesting, Piyush Goyal, if you can come in on that point. We were also asking really the irony perhaps of the Prime Minister reinventing himself with the departure of former Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee. In a way, is time running out? 2014 is the clock which political parties are geared for. You have allies like Mulayam Singh Yadav already hinting general elections maybe earlier than that. Is time running out for the Prime Minister to do an image makeover, really? And as I said, maybe not even a makeover, go back to 21 years ago as the man who will bring the second wave of reforms to India?
I think, unfortunately, things are getting muddled up. At the outset, let me mention that President Obama had no real reason to come into this debate and try to give advice to India. And I agree with Manish that editorial license or other countries having elections around the corner should not be the cause of their interference in our internal affairs. So on the one hand, President Obama, when he spoke to us in Parliament, he made very loud noises about partnership and he will bring high tech into India and there'll be a global resurgence between India and US together. We have seen none of that. All he's interested in is American jobs, not concerned about what its impact will be on Indian jobs. So even when he talks of retail, he's more concerned about creating jobs in America. There may be a few new jobs in retail, but he refuses to accept that there'll be a very large job loss because of that move, and that is why India has not accepted it so far. Having said that, President Obama also is at the forefront of attacking his opposition against outsourcing jobs to India.
Yes.
So I personally believe very strongly in reciprocity. If America wants to invest its surplus, which is capital, into India, they should be prepared to take our surplus, which is skill, knowledge and manpower, into their country.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.